Joining us now from the Farmington Players and their production of Tokens of Affection, we're joined by actress Gunaca as well as David Reinke, the director of the show, also from the Farmington Players. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
Appreciate having you both on. So, David, let's start with you. Tell us first about your background, and how you came to be the director of this particular show at the Farmington Players.
Well, I've been a member of the Farmington Players for about almost 20 years now, and I've been involved in theater throughout the area for probably about 35 years. As far as being involved with this, when I read the script, I fell in love with it. And even more when I was researching it, the playwright Topher Payne is actually from Atlanta, and I happened to find out at the time that we were doing pitches for the director's position that there was a group down in Atlanta area, actually a little north of Atlanta, doing the production. So kind of at the last minute, I decided to fly down and see the show. Met a wonderful group of people down there. Wonderful production, and fell in love with it. It's not your typical love story, and it's actually the very perfect show for the Valentine's holiday. It's basically about two people who have been married for 37 years, and kind of that empty nest syndrome where the kids are grown up, they're kind of off on their own, and they kind of forgot to nurture that love a little bit. They learned, they do big things, going to Niagara Falls, doing, big grand trips and everything, but they forgot the little things, the, greetings at the door, the compliments, the tokens of affection.
And so, Erica, for you, auditioning for this show, what attracted you to Tokens of Affection at the Farmington Players as a show that you wanted to be involved in front of the stage and on the stage performing for the audience?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I first read the script, and I had never done a show at Farmington. I know Dave, throughout the network here, and know that he has done some great work. And reading the script, I fell in love with it. I think that not a lot of shows or movies or anything like that really portrays what it's like to navigate love throughout the years and growing old together and all that stuff. So that attracted to me initially, and I was cast while not being a longtime Farmington Barn member, which makes me not liar. However, right away joined, was welcomed with open arms. It's just been everything and more. The stage has been like an actor's playground. Dave encourages bold choices and kooky choices, and is our biggest fan. So it's just been lovely.
So David, you told us a little bit about a little bit of the gist of the story, or some of the common themes of Tokens of Affection, which will begin running February 11th at the Farmington Players, as well as February 26th, as well as more information on farmingtonplayers.org. But give us a little bit of a synopsis of the crux of the story. What is the story about? What can people be expecting to experience when they do view Tokens of Affection at the Farmington Players in mid-February?
Well, basically, the story starts off with Charlie, who's the son. Erica plays Claire, who's his sister. And he lives kind of a solitary life. He has a neighbor who lives across the hall from him and everything, and she shows up for some comic relief. But he finds out that his parents are splitting up after 37 years of marriage. The reason why is his mother says his father never bought her flowers, never gave her flowers, which really is a metaphor for, again, the tokens of affection, the small little things that going on. So the father shows up at his house, his apartment. The mother then descends down to the daughter's home, and the two of them kind of have to get together to try to get their parents back together, because they don't want to have to be having these separate homes and everything like that, because that's disrupting their lives, how they've been going. So it's a very sweet love story, but it's got a lot of comedy and a lot of heart to it.
And then, so Erica, for you, you're playing the part of Claire, who's one of the one of the children of this separating couple. That's at the crux of this story. What about Claire attracted you to audition for that? And then what about Claire as a character is enjoyable for you to experience as an actor and as a performer, growing into this role and building this role for this edition of Tokens of Affection?
Love these questions. I feel like I'm a real actor when you ask them. Thank you. So thank you for asking. She's very much, what drew me to her was like, I'm a Friends fan, as we all are. And I feel like Claire is like if Rachel and Monica had a baby, like she's the hybrid of those two. So initially my friend's heart was like, yes. But, reading it and going further into the character, she's very much structured. Nothing can go wrong. And it's a comedy, so everything's going wrong. So you can only imagine what she's reacting like. She's bossy, but ultimately, I love that underneath all of that, there's layers. She loves her family. She wants everyone to be a 10 out of 10. And I think that, showing more of like the vulnerability in a person like that, who, every day you don't see, is kind of like an actor's like num num snack.
We're joined by Erica Gunaca, one of the actors playing Claire in Tokens of Affection, which will be at the Farmington Players on February 11th and February 26th. Adult tickets $22, and student tickets or seniors cost $20. More information on their website at farmingtonplayers.org. We're also joined by David Reinke, the director of Tokens of Affection. And so, David, it's interesting because this play is being performed at the Farmington Players right around the time of Valentine's Day, and people are going out on their Valentine's Day dates, or they're going out and just having a good time, and maybe they're there with their significant other. And it's kind of a weird situation because this play, you're trying to lean into the theme of love, and then you're going to see this play that at its base is about a longtime couple, a couple that has been married for almost 40 years, splitting up. So why is this still, despite all of that, and despite the crux of this story, why is this such an interesting play to go and view during this time of the year for individuals or even for couples?
Well, I think that basically you get a not your typical A plus B love connection. Most love stories, romantic comedies, start with a 20-something meets another 20-something, and some happenstance happens, but in the end they fall in love. This is what happens after the happily ever after. And again, I think a lot of people can relate, whether they're starting off as a new couple or whether they've been a couple for a long time, that maybe, maybe we shouldn't lose sight of the small things, the little things. Everybody can do grand gestures, but if you lose sight of the little things, you kind of lose sight of how to nurture that love. And I hope that when the audiences leave, they leave with a happy heart, and they hope that they don't lose sight of the little things that really make love grand.
And then, Erica, you mentioned a little bit about what makes playing Claire an enjoyable experience for you as an actor, but in general, acting in Tokens of Affection. Why is this story something that resonates with you as an actor, and then on a personal level as well?
I think Dave hit it. It's not like, oh, I'm 20 and my glasses fell off and he suddenly thinks I'm gorgeous, like all those rom-coms in the 90s, and I think this is a cool take on, hey, you gotta grow old with this person, so what happens next? And I think that a lot of us question, will I lose myself? Will I forget about those small things? It's not about flying to Belize, when you're older anymore, or even now at my age or anyone's age. It's about just the small little acts that you can do to show someone that you think of them. So I think that's what stood out in terms of a show like this really hasn't been done anywhere.
We're joined by Erica Gunaca, one of the actors in Tokens of Affection, playing Claire with us on the MegaCast, as well as the director of the show, David Reinke, from the Farmington Players. You can learn more information about the show, which will be running between February 11th and February 26th at the Farmington Players, by visiting their website, farmingtonplayers.org. And so, Erica, the COVID-19 pandemic obviously has thrown a whole lot of wrinkles into performance of all kinds, and especially stage plays such as Tokens of Affection. For you, how has the experience of continuing to act during the COVID-19 pandemic, and particularly in a play that's during the ongoing crisis that we're in, how has that changed your approach to acting, as well as what you are accustomed to in the audition process, in the rehearsal process, and then in the performance process as well?
Yeah. Well, we're back, so I'm so happy because I was so sad. Auditioning, I mean, and we're being so cautious, tests every week and masks and things like that. The extra steps that we have to take to keep everyone safe is just easy because we've lost theater and we know what it's like to miss it and love it. And so having it back is like, yeah, I will do whatever it takes to make sure that we can do this and keep everyone safe. And I especially think that in a time like this, like, you want entertainment. You want to get lost in something else. And, TV, Netflix, and chill is great, but like going to live theater and having an experience with a bunch of people was so missed. I know a lot of people miss that. So that's kind of like, I lost my baby, now I have it. So let's just like keep it forever.
And same with you, David. It's a different perspective, I would imagine, as a director versus a performer in a play like this, or in any form of in-person entertainment that was suspended for good reason during the bulk of the pandemic. So for you as a director coming back into the theater with another production here with Tokens of Affection, how has it changed your approach to directing these shows, knowing what the actors have been through and what you and other directors who have been away from the stage at certain points during the pandemic because of COVID-19, how's that changed your perspective coming back to the theater?
Well, as Erica said, it's something that we all missed. People who really loved the theater and loved, doing it. I actually, normally I wouldn't have done this, but I actually was in the last production, The Honey Jack Christmas. I decided to audition and got cast in that. So I decided I didn't have enough to do, so I was directing, and then I was acting right before that. As far as, approaches, again, it's just, we decided to, do smaller productions. This is a cast of 6. We were rehearsing with masks on, which unfortunately you don't see the facial expressions of people on things. So then we moved to not wearing masks, but we're doing weekly testing with the cast and everything. And, I know that, with the Omni variant, that it's, pulls another wrinkle into a lot of things, but we're just trying to keep everybody safe, and have an enjoyable experience. I know that, one of the changes that we had, the Farmington Players, is we are requiring patrons as well as the cast and crew to be vaccinated. And when they come, anyone 12 and over needs to show proof of vaccination with their ID when they show up.
I'm joined by David Reinke, the director of Tokens of Affection, as well as Erica Gunaca, who is one of the actors in the show Tokens of Affection through the Farmington Players, which will be going on February 11th through February 26th at the Farmington Players. More information on their website at farmingtonplayers.org, where you can also purchase tickets. $22 for adults, and tickets for students or seniors cost $20. And as David said, patrons must provide proof of vaccination and ID in order to gain entry into the theater. And then on top of that, mask wearing also is required in the theater. And so, David, for those that are interested in another production in the future with the Farmington Players, or in supporting the Farmington Players, how can they get more information, or how can they go about maybe joining future shows, either on stage or behind the scenes on the crew?
Well, we do have, actually, our next show, Death Trap, is coming up. That actually, tickets go on sale for that on the day that Tokens of Affection opens. We do have auditions for that. Right now, we're kind of keeping that in the membership, but you can join to become a member if you want to audition. That's what Erica did. And also, if you want to work back behind the scenes, you can reach out at farmingtonplayers.org. There's emails on there to the president at farmingtonplayers.org. And if anyone wants to get involved, we always welcome anybody to come in there. We're always looking for new people to have a great experience on there. New people brings in new insights and new ideas.
David, Erica, thank you both for joining us on today's edition of the MegaCast. We look forward to Tokens of Affection at the Farmington Players coming up later on this month, February 11th through 26th at the Farmington Players. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you
very much for having us.